G'day, how you doing? Adam here from Poseidon Racing with another video in this series, which is the ultimate beginner's guide to Zed Run. Everything that you need to know going from zero experience, zero horses, to building that stable up and of course, winning as many races as possible as soon as possible. That's our aim. Our claim is that this is the best beginner's guide going around, better than all the paid ones, completely free here on YouTube. Have a look in the description below and you'll find the link to the complete playlist. There's about 10 or 12 videos in there. Watch all of those and you will know all of the information that's in my head through my experience in Zed Run in building one of the most successful stables, of course, Poseidon Racing. Okay, that being said, that was a bit of a plug, wasn't it? That being said, what we're going to look at today, we're going to take a deep dive into the bloodline of the horses on Zed Run. Let's jump over full screen here. Okay, here we are here, and I'll leave these links. I'm actually on Racehorse DNA here, the blog, in the community Zed Run blog. I'll leave those links in the description for you to have a look at these as well. But what we're talking about today, we're going to take a deeper look into what the bloodline aspect is. The horse DNA within Zed Run is made up of three main parts. It's made up of the bloodline, it's made up of the genotype. As we scroll down, there's the genotype, and of course it's made up of the breed type. I just forgot exactly what the name of that last one was for a second, but we got there. Okay, so bloodline, genotype, and breed type are the three segments that kind of make up the talent of your horse. Now, the bloodline is the one we're looking at in depth today, and the bloodline refers to the four bloodlines within Zed Run. You've got Nakamoto, Zarobos, Finis, and Buterin. And if we jump over to the Zed Run website quickly before we come back to this little table, jump over to the Zed Run website. If you go to zed.run and then click on the Learn tab, or open up that folder, the Learn arrow, and click Genesis Racehorses, you will come here and it will give you a little bit of an insight into these four bloodlines. You've got Nakamoto, of course, and these are in order of rarity and genotype purity, and we'll touch on that in a moment. Nakamoto, Zarobos, beautiful looking horses, aren't they? Finis and Buterin. Okay, and there's a little bit of information there which you can read as well. But the main things you need to know about Nakamoto are that they are super rare. They're the rarest of the four bloodlines within Zed Run. And what I mean by the rarest, we're talking about on a Genesis level at the moment. So originally there was 38,000 Genesis horses released. In fact, as we speak, there is still 10 or 15,000 of those to be released, but they will be released very, very soon, I think. And by the time you watch this video, they may have all been released. If not, you can jump over and check out the website and go on to the Zed Run Discord. I'll leave a link to the Zed Run Discord in the comments below too. Click on that and you can ask around there if there are any more Genesis to be released. But of course, you can buy aftermarket Genesis horses on OpenSea. But they are the super rare. Okay, you can see here on this particular page here, we have Z1s and 2s. You can see here, these are the Nakamotos, if we highlight that there. Nakamoto, Nakamoto, 1,000 Z2s, 1,000 Z1s. We will talk about what that Z number means later. You can see most of them are sold, but these numbers may not be updated, at least by the time you watch the video. So they are the super rares, only 1,000 each, or 2,000 in total, from 38,000 original Genesis. So super rare. But possibly even the more important detail of the Nakamoto is that they contain 91 to 95% genotype purity, as it's written there. And what might that mean? Well, in my opinion, and this is just my own opinion that I've formed, the Genesis racehorses are the guardians of the Zed Run DNA. Okay, so throughout those 38,000, they basically hold the keys to the future bred champions within Zed Run. Now, because the Nakamotos contain the highest genotype purity, does that mean that they are more important to the Zed Run breeding puzzle? Maybe. You need to form your own opinion on that, but my opinion would suggest that it's likely, if not even highly likely, that they are relatively important as far as the breeding future champions goes within the Zed Run ecosystem. I mean, what does that suggest when you go from 91%, or so, let's just call it 90% genotype purity here, and we come down to the Buterin and you can see there 58 to 65% genotype purity. And then if we go by pure prices, like the Nakamotos aren't going to be for everyone because the Buterin is your entry level and they are currently starting at around $200 US-ish, depending on when you watch this video, whereas the Nakamotos are now dropping, when they do drop or when they're on sale on OpenSea, you're looking at maybe $30,000. It's a lot of money for a digital racehorse, let me tell you, isn't it? It absolutely is. So does that price ratio, I mean, the people that are buying these horses are sort of banking on the fact that the Nakamotos are more important. And I've got a few of those Z1s myself. I didn't pay those astronomical prices, or I did once. But most of mine came early days, so I got them a little cheaper. Lucky me, obviously. But yeah, I'm kind of banking on the fact that this genotype purity hints towards that they are relatively important. Now, that doesn't mean that the Buterins aren't important. I'm sure they are. But maybe not all of them are as important, if you know what I mean. Maybe there's a larger chance of that importance being associated with the Nakamoto. And as we come down, let's have a look at the Zarbo. Once again, the Zarbos are still super rare. And if we click over to this attributes here, you can see these are my Zarbo. These are the Zarbos here. I don't have a lot of the Zarbos. I have a few little hedge bets in there, but not too many. But they also, you could consider them to be really, really great value in actual fact because they are as rare as the Nakamotos. In total, only 2,000, 1,000 Z3s, 1,000 Z4s. Okay, so they are as rare as the Nakamotos. They are significantly cheaper than the Nakamotos at this point, and I think they may be when you watch this video as well. Now, the only real difference between the two is 91 to 95% genotype purity to 82 to 84% genotype purity. Now, we only have a small variation of purity there, don't we? Like, we'll call it maybe 10, just over 10%. Now, are these just, Nakamoto's just over 10% more than Zarbo's? No. They are significantly more expensive. In fact, just give me a moment to have a look at my reference table here. Give me 1 second. These, I won't bring it up on screen, but the last prices at the last drop, the Z4s were 2.5 Ethereum, the Z3s were 5.4, and then the Z2s were 7.8, and the ones were 15 roughly. Ethereum. So they are considerably cheaper. A Z4, for example, is roughly 6 or 7 times cheaper than a Z1. Is there that much of a difference in what that Z4 can do, either on a racetrack or on a breeding sense? We'll have to find out. I'm not sure, but you need to form that own vision. If you're going to go for a top-end horse, you need to figure out, I suppose, on some level, where you think that value is going to be. Is it going to be in purchasing a Nakamoto 1 or 2, or can you get really great value from purchasing, say, a Zarbo 4, because they're just as rare as we know. They have only 1,000 of those as well. And look, the genotype purity is not that big a step down. I'm kind of hinting at the Z4s being great value, even though I don't carry a lot of those in my own stable. I'm not sure that is the case. I've gone for the Nakamotos myself, and I've got a bunch of Finis as well, and a couple of Zarbos, but yeah, as we move on to the Finis, you know, where is that value proposition for you where the game is right now? That's what you need to sort of decide. And as we get to the Finis, again, you can see that roughly 10 to 15% drop in genotype purity. And they aren't as rare. They've dropped to rare now. And if we look at the Finis here, again, don't worry about the sold numbers. They're probably inaccurate. But You can see the Z5s, 2,000 of those. Z6s, 3,000 of those. And there'll only ever be this amount of those in the Genesis breed type. And then the Z7s have 4,000. And that slight step down to 72 to 75% of genotype purity. Does that hint at how good a breeder they are? We don't, to be honest, we don't really know. But, you know, in these sort of discovery games, all these little factors and statistics tend to hint at importance, in my opinion. Okay, so, you know, they're still good and they're still the guardians of the genotype, but to what level? And are some better than others? Then I would say absolutely that is the case. If you take 10 unraced, unbred Finis, will one be better than another? Yes, it will be. It's just the luck of the draw. You can't really tell. You can't really tell when they're not raced and not bred. Maybe in 6 months' time or a year's time, we will be able to look back via the breeding history and the racing history and see, well, the racing history we can already see that some horses are far more dominant than others in the racing system. The breeding system is only very, very early, so we can't really see that as yet. And then as we move to the Buterins, again, if we go to their rarity, the Buterins here are these ones down the bottom, 8s, 9s, 10s. The 8s have 6,000 in total, the 9s have 9,000 in total, and the 10s have 10,000 in total. So we need to weigh that up as well. So for example, and when we come back here to the Buterin genotype purity, 58 to 65%, another similar drop down. Now again, you need to ask yourself at this level, if you are focusing on Buterins, and I think that could be a very good strategy as well because they tend to be of great value. For example, the Z10s, you can pick them up at a drop for generally under $200, and on the aftermarket maybe $750 at the moment. There's a big gap on the aftermarket, but when you start looking at the aftermarket, and I will show you in one of these videos how to look for horses on the aftermarket. When you start looking at the aftermarket, you can weigh up, okay, well, the Z8s, 9s and 10s all seem to have a similar level of genotype purity. Whether or not the 10s are closer to the 58 and the 8s are closer to the 65%, I'm not sure, or whether it's a random distribution between those 8s to 10s, we're not sure. But when it comes to purchasing a horse, if you can get a 10, for example, for half the price of a 9, then you might want to go for the 10. Another example, if the 9s are the same price as the 10s, then maybe the 9s are slightly better. Maybe. It's not always going to be the case. But if you start going through those blood types, is that what we're talking about? Yeah, sorry. If we start going through those blood lines, not blood types, so I always get these mixed up between bloodlines and, of course, breed types, mix up the wording. As you go through those bloodlines, you can do a bit of a value proposition between, say, the Z1s and 2s, or in the Buterins case, the 8s, 9s and 10s. If the 8 is the same price as a 10, and it has the same similar race history, or they're both unraced and unbred, then you start to work out that value proposition as to which might be the better place to spend your money on your first horse. Okay, that's on a bloodline perspective. But as I said, we will do a live, I might even buy a racehorse live, and I'll run through my entire process of assessing a horse in an upcoming video, so make sure you look out for that one. Now, from a breeding perspective, we will just touch on this just for a short period of time, because when you breed a Nakamoto with a Nakamoto, that's what this chart is here. Let's zoom in a little bit more. There we go. When we breed a Nakamoto, so these are the hierarchy here, Nakamoto, Zabo, Fini, Buterin, in order, and they also go in order across the top of the chart, left to right, Nakamoto, Zabo, Fini, Buterin. And what this chart is suggesting is when we take, let's say the male is on the vertical and the female is on the horizontal, when we take a Nakamoto and breed with a Nakamoto, we get a Nakamoto. Is that important? Well, possibly. I would suggest it probably is on some level. But when we breed a Nakamoto with a Zabo, we get the lesser bloodline as the offspring. So the lower if we breed a Nakamoto with a lower level bloodline, going by this hierarchy here, Nakamoto on top, Zarbo, then Finis, then Buterin. If we breed a Nakamoto with a Zarbo, the offspring will be a Zarbo. If we breed a Nakamoto with a Finis, the offspring will be a Finis. If we breed a Nakamoto with a Buterin, the offspring will be a Buterin. Is that important? I think it probably is, but I don't know why just yet. Maybe keeping a purebred Nakamoto is a very good idea for champion racehorses. Is it? Maybe? I'm not sure. Maybe combining Nakamoto, Zarbo and Finis and Buterin all together into one horse and crossing all those bloodlines together could be a good idea. There are many that think that is a good idea too. But you yourself need to form that vision of what might be important and what strategy you think will work, because that will tell you what pieces of the puzzle to go out and look for and try and find, you know, bargains, if you like. All right, so keep that in mind. And similarly, if we breed a Finis with a Buterin, of course, you get the lower level down. You get a Buterin offspring. And a Zarbo with a Finis, you would get a Finis. Okay, so that's that chart there. We will go into more depth in breeding later on. At the moment, I just want to run through some of these really critical areas, as in bloodline. In the next video, we will take a look at genotype. And in the last video of this little mini-series, within the entire series, of course, the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Zed Run, the best guide out there, find the link to the full playlist in the description below. In the last of that little mini-series, we will take a deeper dive into breed types as well. So those three very important aspects are really important in looking for and buying a horse, and we'll cover those. We just covered, of course, bloodline today. And in the upcoming videos, we're going to do genotype and breed type. Okay? Thanks again for watching along. If you enjoy the content, I would love it as a form of entry or payment if you hit the like button or the dislike. I don't mind. If you don't like the content, give it a thumbs down. And if you do enjoy the content, hit the subscribe button, because Poseidon Racing is the place to come for all your sports-based NFT news, announcements, new games, and how to play across all of those favourite games that I am into. At the moment, it's mostly Zed Run, but I'm looking at getting into more as we progress. Thanks again, and bye for now.